Welcome to After Dark Creations Art and Review. I'm Jen, your artist and monster buddy, here to share my love of cult films, movies, monsters, music, television, and books with you. This week, I'll be reviewing Creepshow. Just a side note, Horrorgasm is San Diego's first horror-themed art and entertainment event. It takes place at Queen Bee's Arts and Cultural Center in North Park, San Diego on October 26th. We hope to see you there, and you can help make Horrorgasm even better by contributing to Art Indiegogo. I'll add a link in the description below. We hope to see you there, and we thank you so much. Now, back to the review. Creepshow has a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb and a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. The script was written by Stephen King and directed by George Romero. Creepshow had a theatrical release in 1982 and is an anthology film with 5 short stories. Father's Day, starring Ed Harris, The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, starring Stephen King in the title role, Something to Tide You Over, starring Ted Danson and Leslie Nielsen, The Crate, starring Adrienne Barbeau, Fritz Weaver, and Hal Holbrook. The final story is They're Creeping Up on You, starring E.G. Marshall. In the prologue and epilogue scenes, Joe Hill plays Billy, a horror comic-loving kid who faces the wrath of his uptight dad, played by Tom Atkins. The special effects were created by Tom Savini, who plays the Creep in Creepshow 2. Creepshow is a loving tribute to the EC Tales from the Crypt comics and other series, like Vault of Horror. The comic style is evident in the bright coloration and comic board style fonts and backgrounds found in each story. Now, let's get into the plot, so spoiler warning ahead. The first story is Father's Day. The wealthy Grantham family reunites on Father's Day to celebrate the demise of the family patriarch, Nathan, who was killed by his daughter Bedelia on Father's Day as revenge for his emotional abuse and the killing of her fiancé. Bedelia visits her father's grave and is killed when his corpse rises, demanding, "I want my cake." Nathan kills Ed Harris's character and uses his granddaughter Sylvia's head as a cake. The story ends with Nathan presenting Sylvia's head on a platter to his great-grandchildren saying, "I've got my cake." The episode is a fantastic introduction to the film, giving the viewer an insight as to what they are in store for the entire show. The film effects are creepy, and the story is just humorous enough not to be too scary. The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill. Stephen King stars as the ill-fated Jordy, who discovers a meteorite has landed on his farm. Hoping the meteorite is worth money, Jordy pours cold water on it, and it ends up splitting in half, and neon-colored goo flows from the center. Jordy ends up touching it and slowly becomes infected with a green grass-like substance, turning him into a mossy monster. Eventually, he shoots himself, but the damage is done and the moss is spreading all over the farm and beyond. Stephen King is front and center, and he is incredibly entertaining as the dim-witted Verrill. He plays a bumpkin to perfection. Something to Tide You Over. This story stars Ted Danson as Harry Wentworth, a man who is having an affair with a married woman, Becky. Harry is visited by Leslie Nielsen's character, Richard. Richard threatens Harry to come with him if he ever wants to see Becky again. Richard is a psychopath, and there is nothing more dangerous than a scorned psycho. Richard takes Harry to the beach and forces him to bury himself in the sand with only his head above the surface. He shows Harry a video of Becky buried in the same fashion, and she screams as the tide comes in. Harry is faced with a rising tide, and Richard leaves in triumph, having drowned his cheating wife and her lover. But they return from their watery graves and bury Richard in the sand. He is shown laughing in insanity as the tide rolls in. The makeup is surprisingly creepy, and as a kid, I was both intrigued and terrified by the story. I was familiar with Leslie Nielsen from comedies like Naked Gun, but I was taken back by his chilling and menacing performance. The Crate. College professor Dexter Stanley is notified by the janitor at the university of his discovery of a crate under the stairs that is marked Arctic Expedition June of 1834. They move the crate upstairs into one of the labs to open it. The crate contained a monstrous creature referred to by the production as Fluffy. Fluffy kills the janitor, and Dexter escapes and runs into Charlie Grierson, a grad student who goes to investigate Dexter's wild claims, and he is promptly eaten by the creature. Dexter reaches out to his fellow professor professor and friend, Henry. Henry is downtrodden, and he's married to Adrienne Barbeau's character, Billy, who is an alcoholic and emotionally abusive. Henry fantasizes about killing Billy multiple times throughout the story, and uses Dexter's situation to his advantage. He drugs Dexter and heads to the college to set a trap for Billy. Billy reaches the campus and is led to the crate that is now back under the stairs. The creature savagely attacks Billy. Then Henry locks away the creature and dumps the crate in the quarry. He later informs Dexter of his actions and says not to worry, the creature surely drowned in the quarry. The final scene shows Fluffy escaping the crate, floating to the surface of the water. This is my favorite story. I loved the creature design, and who doesn't adore Adrienne Barbeau? They're creeping up on you. Gross out warning ahead. This was my least favorite story due to the use of all the creepy crawlers. Upson Pratt is a wealthy businessman living his best creepy Howard Hughes life in an upscale sanitized apartment. He spends the story harassing his employees and the staff of the apartment complex. He later receives a phone call from the wife of an ex-employee who committed suicide. He coldly taunts her. Then the power goes out and he begins to see cockroaches everywhere. Eventually, he is consumed by the roaches in a very gross display. This gave me the heebie-jeebies. Creepshow was an amazing anthology horror film and is considered a classic. The effects in the ensemble cast are showcased in each spooky story. The film started my love of horror anthologies and influenced modern horror films like Trick or Treat and Tales of Halloween. I can't wait to see the Creepshow series on Shudder. They have stories by Stephen King and Joe Hill. Film favorites like Adrienne Barbeau and Tom Savini are returning. Let me know your favorite Creepshow story in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching. I'm Jen, and let's keep it spooky, friends.